Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to talk a little bit about being stuck, addictions, the things that, the human race has struggled with for as long as the human race has been on this earth. There's so many aspects of addictions. I did a journey once where it was about Tier, actually. And he told me the only way to stop an addiction is to walk away from it. Walk away from the one thing that has got you stuck or you're addicted to. And they went hand in hand. They show me different versions of people addicted to TV, addicted to drugs, to sex, but even talked about people that are addicted to working out, addicted to basically what they look like. It could go on and on and on and on and on. There's so many aspects of addictions. Playing video games too much, eating too much. There's so much out there. So how do you walk? You can't actually walk away from eating, but you can do is walk away from the things that you're addicted to. Myself, I actually when I was about 21, I gave up a ton of stuff. And I was always giving something up, and I was giving it, that things I was giving up was to help the world. And people would look at me funny every time I said stuff like that, because they'd be like, nobody does stuff like that, or why would you do that? And it's like, why not? But 21 years later, I didn't even know what I gave up anymore. I gave up so much, except for the main things. And then it occurred to me, is like, this is getting ridiculous, because I was in some ways addicted to giving stuff up. So you see how one thing that starts off as a good thing can turn into something else. It's like somebody that wants to work out and then they work out too much and it becomes an addiction. Everything in moderation, but it's so hard, because a lot of the times if we have an addictive personality, we'll move from one addiction to another, to another, to another. But what I discovered, though, by doing that for so long, it gave me the ability to have control over it. It's when you're out of control where it gets really scary and your life can fall apart. But sometimes what we consider falling apart is just something that has to happen before we have to put it back together again. It's one of the hardest things to make decisions that you know are going to have difficult consequences. I've had to make a few of those, to say the least. And they were very, very difficult decisions, but also very, very difficult outcomes. We all struggle with many different things, but we have a bad tendency to look at people and say, oh, well, they have it made. They have no problems. They have no difficulties. But we all struggle every day with addictions, with depression, with frustration, with sadness, with anger. We need to have more love, compassion, understanding, and respect. Our kids are growing up without respect, without the hardcore understanding that we seem to have lost. Our kids are being born different. It's not just parenting. It seems like they're missing certain aspects Not all kids. It's a weird... The world is becoming very, very different. The craziness of 2020 really opens up the ridiculousness of the media, of politics, politicians, of how we handle problems. It's funny because back in February, if the world worked together, they could have stopped COVID in its tracks. Instead, we just pointed fingers at China. Some people laughed and mocked them. All along, there could have been a simple solution. We chose different solutions. And we chose a time of not working together, so it's a huge mess. A massive mess. And then it became a political laughingstock. And it's not funny. But it was ridiculous how it became such a ridiculous political nightmare. And there's people out there that say COVID isn't real. Some people say it is. It's like nobody really knows anything anymore because everybody just lies all the time. The media is a joke. Politicians are a joke. Like, how can you take them seriously? How can you take the media seriously? You can't believe anything that you're being told. YouTube, Facebook, they're full of so many people that just lie all the time. It's so frustrating. But there's so many more weird addictions we have out there. Our kids are growing up in a world of addiction. And that's social media. It's not even TV anymore. It's funny, like TV is one of the things that, hey, get your kid to watch TV. Well, that's different. It's funny when TV becomes a good thing compared to the computer, the phones, the video games. There's a lot of problems that we have. But this is about addictions. It's about how do you stop? When you find yourself having to have something, that's a problem. When you find yourself, the voice in your back of your mind, it's always saying, do it, do it, do it, do it, you got a problem. When you start to ignore your family, your friends, in order to do that thing, you know it's not even good for you, or it could even be good for you. But one example is exercise. Exercise is good for you, but working 6 to 8 hours a day, exercising, probably not so good for you. Because it's going to create you, and you could be extremely healthy, but it could be actually very difficult, hard on certain organs in your body, especially your heart. But who knows, it might make you almost superhuman-like. But is it healthy for your mind, for the people that are around you, the people that you love? Could be, but it might not be. I think we have to look at our lives, who we're with, who we're giving up, who we're setting aside, or what we're setting aside to achieve these temptations, these addictions. It's so hard to forget. It's so easy to forget, I should say. To say, I love you, I miss you. It's easy to forget to give people hugs, especially nowadays where hugs is like well, I don't have to go into details on that. We live in a different world. We also live in a very scary world in a way of the direction it's moving in. Spiritual people, not just spiritual people, anybody that's a free thinker that thinks for themselves, this world isn't for us. It seems like, because the people that really, really, really speak from the heart, to speak the truth, their words go on deaf ears. Your words are forgotten or set aside, ridiculed, because you want that quick fix. You want that 5-second video or the 10-second answer. We don't want to work to get what we want. We want quick satisfaction. We want it right now. We want to learn this. If I can't learn this in one attempt, I'm just going to give it up and I'll move on to something else. So we go through lives not really becoming a master of anything. A master of avoidance, a master of blaming other things and other people. To become sheep. Being told things without really giving it a thought. Really doing research, but even research is getting harder. Even the sources that we thought were once good sources are becoming bad sources, lies, manipulation, half-truths. When is the world going to stop? The only way it can stop is when people actually start wanting to work on themselves. People that want to start standing up for what they believe is the truth. But just because my truth is different from your truth doesn't give me the right to ridicule you for that. Doesn't give me the right to disrespect you. Again, unless you're breaking into my house or, you're doing really bad crimes. But if you're a good person, it doesn't matter what color you are, religion, what you believe in, what you do, as long as it's not hurting other people. But again, nowadays, saying one bloody thing, people say they get hurt by it, but that is not what I'm talking about, because that's not hurt. That's just a person taking something and making it into hurt when it was never meant to be in the first place. Like, I grew up in the 80s was the time for me. And man, it was a different time than now. I grew up in the 70s as well, but I was much younger. And the times are so different. In some ways, I was blessed into seeing the transition from then to now. And still being able to understand the technology, understand the aspects of social media, the dangers of it. But because I can compare it to when I was younger. It's unbelievable how things changed. How people became so sensitive. And when things are said as a joke, said meant to be funny or meant to be, or just said as a word that didn't mean anything, but now does, and people take it personally. But it wasn't even meant to be a personal attack. And I know I'm getting off the topic of addictions, but again, that is a form of addictions, and being stuck is because you're stuck, fixated on negativity, on creating things that don't exist, putting meanings into words that were never meant to be said that way. That is actually one of the worst things about the modern age, is people take things personally when they're never meant to be a personal attack. But why is that? What is wrong or what is different in society that makes people that way? What is inside yourself that is not healthy, not in balance? And that, again, is everything to do with addiction, everything to do with being stuck. Because if you're at a job you hate, you could be stuck in a situation where you can't get out of it. And the only way out of it is to leave. And I said, oh my God, how do I do that? And I might end up not getting anything at all. I might end up on the street. What do you do about that? Walk away from the things. It's a message from Tyr. Walk away from the things that are that are making you stuck, or what you're addicted to. When I gave up things, I was addicted to certain things, and I gave them up. And some of them I gave up for 21 years. So you can give things up. Some things are harder than others. And some people have an easier time than other people. So some people need help. So get the help you need. Don't give up. Just keep trying. Sometimes you have to walk off the bridge. And just not literally walk off the bridge, please. Just simply a figure of speech. Walk off the bridge, even if you can't see what is in front of you, in order to save yourself. If that job is making you miserable, you need to get up and leave it. But we all know sometimes you're in situations where you have to wait for the right moment, right time. But if you say it, you will eventually get out of that situation. No matter how stuck you are, there's always a way out. We need to ask for help. We need to take those steps, even if it could cause us to have some pretty hard and difficult times. Because that is part of the difficulties of walking away, is that you could walk away into a shit show for many years. But you don't take that with you when you pass. You're finally able to let go of it, because that is part of the lessons. You might walk away and then die, but you're free from that burden. It's when you don't walk away and you live that whole lifetime in misery, that's when you might have to come back to repeat that lesson, because you never learned it. What's worse? A couple of years of misery or a whole nother lifetime of the same thing all over again. You have to look at every aspect of what you're doing and who you are and how it affects other people without being fanatical about it. Tyr was telling me that he tried so hard to get people to be unstuck. He even tried sending energy into people, but they just got even a kind of annoying energy, but it still didn't matter because people just get used to that annoying thing and it became like a regular thing. So he ended up leaving, and he ended up throwing his spirit back to the earth, creating another version of himself, like a son. And the son spoke the truth, and the world ignored the truth. And he did it over and over and over and over again. But the world always rejected the truth. So why is it we say we want the truth, but when you hear it, majority of the people reject it? They want to hear watered down BS that doesn't really do anything to change anything at all. They rather hear that. They want to hear mumbo jumbo instead of that you have to work on yourself. Nobody can walk up to you and touch you and heal every part of yourself. It takes work, people, to heal yourself. It takes work to become a master of yourself. You just can't have somebody walk up and touch you and take that away. People will say they can do that, and maybe it will work for a short time until reality comes back. But that's the problem with this type of spirit, with spiritual work in general, is that you can really do a benefit and heal people. But then they're thinking, well, I'm done. I don't have to do anything else. And then a short time later, could be a year, month, they're complaining that it didn't work. But they continued to do the things that made them that way in the first place. Or they did manage to overcome that part of themselves, and then again something comes up. That's the problem. When you go down a path of spirituality, you're constantly healing. You're constantly learning. You're constantly overcoming things. But every single time you reach that next part of the mountain, I don't know if anybody's ever walked up a mountain, but one of the things you do know is when you're walking up, you get to a ridge, it's like, oh, for the love of God. I thought it was at the top. Another ridge. You get to the top of that ridge, another ridge, and another ridge. It's because the higher you go up. It's funny because I used to work with youth, and one of the youth kept saying to me, is the higher you go up, the better the view. Best day ever. I remember those moments. And he was right. Where we were, the higher we went up, the more beautiful the view was. But it was like one plateau after another plateau after another. But that's life. The higher you go up, the more beautiful it is. But it takes friggin' work to get there. And people don't want to work. They want instant fixes, instant satisfaction. So they stay stuck. They stay addicted. And they seem confused about it. And when you tell them what to do and how to get out of it, they don't want to accept that as an answer. They want you to fix it. Fix them. But you need to help yourself. You need to fix yourself. And we're here to help you through that process. We can really give you an understanding what is going on, how to fix it, but it takes work. It takes time. It takes strength, courage, love, patience, understanding, forgiveness. The horrible words that we hear by so many people that we tend to ignore because it's difficult, it's hard work. But it will get you unstuck. It could take, well, I was going to say a week. But most of the time, we know Then when you do serious work in yourself, it can take much longer than a week. However, if you give up an addiction and you make a week, that's pretty goddamn good. And you're well on your way to completely giving that up for the rest of your life. Or for a time until you're able to control it. But that is even harder, to learn to control the things that you weren't addicted to. You can never give up trying. You can never give up on yourself. You can never give up on working through the difficulties of life. Because that's what life is looking at the weaves, the turns, the twists, and trying to find and navigate your way through it. Staying as positive as possible, but there's times where you're going to be in a dark corner crying. There's times where you're going to be swinging in the air and laughing and smiling. There's times you're going to get hurt. But please, when somebody needs to walk away, let them walk away. It's the benefit to both of you. Don't blame others for your own shortcomings or your mistakes. Like, if you mess up, own up to it. It'll make you feel a lot better about yourself. Doesn't mean the person will forgive you, but then that's on them, not on you. Tyr still hasn't given up on the human race. But he doesn't try as much as he used to, because he's waiting at a time where people are willing to listen to the truth. That will work on themselves. So if you're stuck, wanting out of a difficult situation, Tyr can help you with that. As well as of the weavers of the fabric of time and space can help you as well. Your higher self can help you. The angels, your spirit guides, are helping you all the time. Ask for help, but follow your heart. And sometimes you're going to say, what the hell? I'm never going to do that. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. But if you know inside yourself it is correct, making those decisions will change your life. But you have to live with the consequences of what you do. And that again is life. This world is hard for people like me. And people like you. We make the best of every day. And that's all we can do. Just remember that every single person that you see, there's some part of them that have addictions, are stuck. Just like you. That had hard, difficult lives. Or easy lives. But the difficult ones is what makes life, when you die, beautiful. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day. If you wish to do a journey with me, you can visit my website at amonrastawakening.com. If you wish to visit my website of Northern Lights, you can visit at Joseph Bradley Auroras and HiddenAuroraSpirits.com. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a great day.